Understanding disrespect, a Stoic lens. Why disrespect hurts. Disrespect is one of the most universal human experiences. Whether it comes as a cutting remark, a dismissive gesture, or a public insult, the sting of disrespect cuts deep. From childhood to adulthood, we encounter situations where others look down on us, mock us, or treat us as though we are insignificant. For the average person, disrespect often leads to anger, defensiveness, or retaliation. Someone insults us, and we feel the urge to strike back. Someone dismisses our opinion, and we want to prove them wrong. Someone mocks us in public, and shame burns within us. But the Stoics, those philosophers of resilience and calm, offered a different perspective. They taught that disrespect is not in itself harmful. What harms us is our interpretation of it. The insult is external, but the wound is internal, and the wound only festers if we choose to let the words sink into us. To understand disrespect through the Stoic lens is to see it not as a personal attack that must be avenged, but as an opportunity to strengthen one's character, to train one's mind, and to rise above the petty behavior of others. In this chapter, we will explore the Stoic understanding of disrespect, what it is, why it stirs our emotions, and how we can begin to shift our perception. Before we move to the strategies of Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, we must first learn the foundations: why we suffer when we are disrespected, and how the Stoic view dismantles this suffering at its root. The nature of disrespect. Disrespect is essentially a denial of worth. When someone disrespects you, they are either saying, directly or indirectly, that you do not matter, that your views are unimportant, or that you are beneath them. This can manifest as verbal insults, words meant to degrade or belittle; nonverbal gestures, eye rolls, sighs, dismissive silence; social exclusion, being ignored, cut off, or excluded intentionally; public humiliation, mockery in front of others. In each case, the core element is the same. Another person is signaling that you lack value in their eyes. But here is the Stoic insight: value does not come from the opinions of others. If disrespect is simply one human expressing a judgment about another, then its power depends entirely on whether we accept that judgment. If someone calls me foolish, the insult only hurts if I believe it has some truth, or if my ego feels the need to defend itself against such a claim. Epictetus once said, "If someone speaks ill of you, do not make excuses but reply, 'He surely does not know about my other faults, or he would not have mentioned only these.'" This is the Stoic way, to treat disrespect as noise, not as truth. Why disrespect hurts. The role of ego. But let us be honest, disrespect does hurt. Even when we understand the philosophy, our stomach tightens, our face flushes, and anger rises in us. Why? The Stoics would say it is because of our ego. Our ego demands recognition. It craves approval, respect, and admiration. When others disrespect us, the ego feels wounded, as though our worth depends on how others perceive us. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." This is the crucial insight. Disrespect hurts not because of the words or gestures themselves, but because we have chosen, often unconsciously, to let our ego interpret those actions as wounds. The Stoic view of control. The cornerstone of Stoicism is the distinction between what is within our control and what is outside our control. Within our control, our thoughts, our judgments, our actions. Outside our control, the opinions, words, and actions of others. Disrespect clearly falls into the second category. We cannot stop people from insulting us, mocking us, or dismissing us. But we can control how we respond. Epictetus, who himself endured slavery and constant humiliation, taught this principle repeatedly. He urged his students to see that if we place our peace of mind in the hands of others, we will forever be their slaves. But if we learn to govern our own responses, no insult can truly harm us. The difference between offense and perception. Here is a simple but powerful Stoic lesson. Disrespect is not an objective harm. If 10 people hear the same insult, some may laugh, some may feel wounded, and some may feel indifferent. The insult itself has no intrinsic power. Its effect depends entirely on the listener's perception. This is why the Stoics insisted that it is not events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. If we see disrespect as proof of our inferiority, we feel crushed. If we see it as proof of another person's ignorance or weakness, we feel compassion. If we see it as irrelevant noise, we feel nothing at all. This shift in perception is the beginning of Stoic mastery over disrespect. Historical examples of disrespect and Stoic responses. To bring this to life, consider some historical stories. 1. Epictetus the slave. As a slave, Epictetus was subjected to daily disrespect. His master once twisted his leg violently, and when Epictetus calmly warned, "If you continue, you will break it," the master broke his leg. Epictetus did not scream or rage. He simply said, "Did I not tell you it would break?" Disrespect, cruelty, even physical pain, yet he refused to let it master his inner peace. 2. Marcus Aurelius the emperor. As emperor of Rome, Marcus was not only respected but also mocked by rivals and courtiers. He wrote in his meditations reminders to himself, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." He expected disrespect, and by expecting it, he disarmed it. 3. Seneca and Nero's court. Seneca lived under the notoriously disrespectful and unstable Emperor Nero. Nero often mocked, insulted, and even plotted against him. Seneca endured it with patience, advising others to meet insults not with rage but with reason. He wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." These stories illustrate that disrespect is timeless, but so is the Stoic response. Practical reflection. The first step. So how do we begin applying this in our lives? The first step is awareness. When you feel disrespected, pause. Instead of reacting instantly, ask yourself, is this disrespect truly about me or about the other person's character? Am I hurt because of the insult itself or because my ego insists I must be respected? Does this person's opinion have real power over my worth? This pause creates space. In that space, you can choose. And in choosing, you practice Stoicism. Disrespect is not new, and it is not going away. But the Stoics offer us a way to face it with strength and calm. They teach us that disrespect is a judgment, not a truth. Its sting comes from our ego, not from the insult itself. We cannot control others' words, but we can control our response. Perception is everything. An insult can be a wound, or it can be nothing at all. Epictetus and the power of interpretation. Why Epictetus matters in the discussion of disrespect. If there is any Stoic who understood disrespect in its rawest, most humiliating form, it was Epictetus. Unlike Marcus Aurelius, who was born into privilege and power, or Seneca, who lived as an advisor to emperors, Epictetus began life as a slave. From childhood, he was treated not as a man, but as property. He was insulted, ignored, ordered around, and physically abused. By any worldly standard, his life was built on the foundation of disrespect. And yet, from this place of disadvantage, Epictetus rose to become one of the most powerful teachers of resilience, wisdom, and freedom. His philosophy teaches us that disrespect is not what destroys us, it is our interpretation of it. The core teaching, it's not things, but our judgments. Epictetus' most famous teaching is found in the Enchiridion, the handbook. It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. This single sentence reshapes how we think about disrespect. An insult is just a sound, a vibration of air. A dismissive look is just a twitch of muscle on someone else's face. A mocking laugh is nothing more than a person's exhaled breath. None of these have the power to wound us unless we interpret them as wounds. The problem is not the event, it is the story we tell ourselves about the event. They laughed at me, therefore I must be ridiculous. They ignored me, therefore I must be worthless. They insulted me, therefore I must be weak. These are judgments, not facts. The Stoic task is to separate the external event from our internal interpretation. Once we do that, we realize that disrespect, by itself, has no teeth. It is only our judgment that gives it bite. The story of Epictetus' broken leg. One of the most powerful illustrations of this comes from Epictetus' own life. His master, Epictetus, was known to be cruel. On one occasion, he twisted Epictetus' leg violently. Epictetus, instead of screaming or begging, calmly said, "If you continue, you will break it." And when the leg broke, he did not curse or cry out. He simply said, "Did I not tell you it would break?" To us, this might seem shocking. How could someone endure such disrespect and cruelty with such composure? Epictetus understood that pain and humiliation are external events. His master could break his body, but he could not break his mind. By refusing to interpret the cruelty as a personal wound, Epictetus retained his dignity. His body was enslaved, but his spirit was free. This is the essence of Stoic strength. No one can truly insult or demean you unless you give them permission. Reframing disrespect through interpretation. So how do we apply Epictetus' lesson today? The answer lies in reframing. When disrespected, most people interpret the event in a negative light. They insulted me, therefore I am dishonored. But Epictetus teaches us to reframe. They insulted me, therefore they reveal their own character, not mine. They mocked me, therefore they show their ignorance, not my weakness. They dismissed me, therefore I am free to move on without wasting energy. By changing the interpretation, we change the effect. It is like alchemy. The same words that once burned us can now roll off our shoulders like rain on stone. Epictetus' advice on insults. In his discourses, Epictetus gives practical instructions for dealing with insults. If someone speaks ill of you, don't defend yourself anxiously. Instead, reply, "Yes, and he does not even know the half of it." If you are mocked for being poor, unskilled, or simple, remember that the true shame lies not in lacking wealth or talent, but in lacking virtue. If someone disrespects you, consider, are they harming your character, or only their own? In every case, Epictetus shifts the focus away from the external insult and back to the internal fortress of character. Modern applications of Epictetus' wisdom. Let us translate this into modern life. 1. Workplace disrespect. A colleague undermines you in a meeting. The natural reaction is to feel angry or humiliated. But Epictetus would remind us, their words do not define your competence. Your work, your integrity, and your calm response define you. Their disrespect says more about their insecurity than about your worth. 2. Online disrespect. In today's world, online insults are rampant. Strangers hide behind screens and hurl abuse. The instinct is to fight back, but Epictetus would ask, why give weight to the opinion of someone who does not know you, whose character you do not respect? Their comment is just text on a screen, harmless unless you interpret it as harm. 3. Family or relationship disrespect. Disrespect from loved ones can cut the deepest. A harsh word from a parent, partner, or friend can pierce the heart. But even here, Epictetus' wisdom applies. Their words reflect their state of mind, their struggles, their flaws, not your value. You can choose to see the insult as a symptom of their ignorance or pain, rather than a measure of your worth. The practice of detachment. Epictetus taught his students to practice detachment, not coldness, but freedom. He urged them to see life as a banquet. Dishes are passed around, some arrive at your table, some do not. If you grab greedily, you suffer. If you wait patiently, you enjoy whatever is given. Disrespect, too, is like one of these passing dishes. It comes and goes. If you grasp at it, if you internalize it, it poisons you. But if you let it pass, it vanishes into nothing. Exercise: rewriting insults. Here is a Stoic exercise inspired by Epictetus. Take a recent insult or disrespectful remark you received. Write it down word for word. Then, underneath it, rewrite the event using Stoic interpretation. For example, original insult: "You're useless at this job." Stoic rewrite: "This person chose to express their frustration through insult. That does not define my abilities. My effort and actions define me." Do this regularly, and you will begin to rewire your instinctive reactions to disrespect. Epictetus, who lived under chains, proved that freedom is not about status but about perspective. His life teaches us that disrespect does not diminish us unless we allow it to. By practicing his core teaching, that it is not things themselves but our judgments that disturb us, we learn to reframe disrespect, to see insults as reflections of others, not of ourselves, and to maintain dignity even in the face of mockery. This is the power of interpretation. This is the first shield against disrespect. Marcus Aurelius on rising above insults. The emperor who faced disrespect. When most people think of emperors, they imagine absolute power, untouchable authority, and constant respect. Yet history shows otherwise. Even the most powerful leaders were subject to criticism, slander, betrayal, and disrespect. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king of Rome, spent nearly 2 decades leading the empire through wars, plagues, and political instability. Despite his title, he could not escape the disrespect of rivals, politicians, soldiers, and even his own family. But unlike many rulers who responded to insult with rage and revenge, Marcus Aurelius chose humility, patience, and inner strength. Through his meditations, his private journal written for himself, he left us timeless wisdom on how to rise above insults and disrespect. Expecting disrespect as a daily reality. Marcus begins his meditations with a striking reminder to himself. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, "The people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil." Notice his approach. He does not say, "Perhaps I will meet kind people today." He says, "Prepare for disrespect, because it will come." This is not pessimism, it is preparation. By expecting insults, betrayals, and rudeness, Marcus armored himself against surprise. Most of us are shocked when someone disrespects us. We say, "How could they say that?" or "How dare they treat me this way?" Marcus teaches us to reverse the thought, "Why wouldn't they? They are human, just as I am human." Weakness, ignorance, and arrogance are part of the human condition. If disrespect is inevitable, then the wise person prepares for it, just as one prepares for rain with an umbrella. The emperor's burden, public insults and criticism. Imagine the position of Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of the largest empire on earth, with every decision scrutinized. He could never please everyone. For every law he passed, someone felt cheated. For every battle he fought, someone lost a son. For every reform he attempted, someone resisted. He knew that power brought not just respect, but also hatred. And so he reminded himself, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This echoes Epictetus, but Marcus applies it to leadership. Criticism and insult are not truly wounds, they are only opinions. And opinions, like the wind, can blow in any direction without altering the mountain's strength. Responding with silence and dignity. One of Marcus' most powerful teachings on disrespect is the practice of silence. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. If someone insults you, the easiest reaction is to mirror them, to insult back, to argue, to prove your worth. But Marcus warns that this only drags you down to their level. Instead, the truly strong response is dignity. Silence, patience, and calm reveal more strength than any sharp comeback ever could. To the Stoic, the insulted person does not lose dignity, the insulter does. Humility as armor against insults. Another reason Marcus could rise above disrespect was his humility. Despite being emperor, he constantly reminded himself that he was just a man, subject to illness, death, and human weakness. In his Meditations, he wrote, "I am composed of a little body and a soul. Soon I shall be nobody, like all before me." What power does an insult have against someone who knows he is mortal dust? If you see yourself as fragile and temporary, you stop demanding constant respect. You realize that the opinions of others are fleeting, just as your own life is fleeting. Humility dissolves the sting of disrespect. The Stoic technique of perspective. Marcus often dealt with disrespect by zooming out, taking the cosmic perspective. Consider how quickly all things are dissolved, bodies into the universe, memories into eternity. What is fame? What is slander? Smoke, dust, nothing. When someone insulted him, Marcus reminded himself, in 100 years, both the insulter and the insulted would be gone. In the vastness of time and space, what is a harsh word? Nothing but noise. This technique of perspective is profoundly useful for us today. An insult at work, a rude comment online, a harsh remark from a stranger, these feel enormous in the moment. But in the scale of our entire lives, they are nothing. And in the scale of eternity, they are less than nothing. Modern applications of Marcus' wisdom. Let's see how Marcus' teachings apply today. 1. Social media insults. If Marcus lived today, he would be slandered on every platform. He would remind himself, the words are just pixels. In a day, they will be forgotten. In a century, no one will even know who wrote them. 2. Workplace disrespect. If a boss or coworker disrespects you, Marcus would advise, remember your own mortality and theirs. In the vastness of time, their opinion is as weightless as a leaf in the wind. 3. Family disrespect. Disrespect from loved ones can hurt deeply. Marcus' reminder would be, they act from ignorance, not from truth. Your role is to uphold your own character, not to demand theirs. Practical exercise. The morning reminder. Marcus' practice of preparing for disrespect each morning is one we can adopt. When you wake up, take a moment to say, today, I will meet people who are rude, arrogant, dismissive, and disrespectful. They cannot harm me unless I let them. Their words are theirs, my response is mine. This small ritual arms the mind against surprise, making disrespect expected rather than shocking. The final lesson from Marcus. At the heart of Marcus Aurelius' response to disrespect is this truth. No insult can touch your inner self unless you allow it to. The emperor who ruled millions knew that the only true kingdom is self-mastery. Titles can be mocked, reputations can be attacked, but the soul remains untouched if it refuses to yield. By expecting disrespect, meeting it with silence, practicing humility, and keeping the cosmic perspective, Marcus Aurelius shows us how to rise above insult, not with arrogance, but with serenity. Disrespect is inevitable. Even emperors cannot escape it. But Marcus Aurelius teaches us that we can face it with dignity. Expect it daily, so it cannot surprise you. Meet it with silence, not retaliation. Wear humility as armor. Take the cosmic perspective. All insults vanish in time. In living this way, we discover a freedom deeper than power, the freedom to remain unshaken, no matter what others say. Seneca in the court of Nero. If anyone knew the sting of disrespect, it was Seneca. A Stoic philosopher, playwright, and statesman, Seneca served as an advisor to Nero, one of Rome's most infamous emperors. Nero was arrogant, impulsive, and cruel. He mocked those closest to him, humiliated his advisors, and often responded to criticism with violence. To serve in such a court was to live in constant exposure to insult and disrespect. Yet, instead of letting bitterness consume him, Seneca reflected deeply on the nature of anger, insult, and human folly. His writings, especially on anger and letters to Lucilius, offer some of the clearest Stoic strategies for dealing with disrespect. The nature of insults. Seneca begins with a simple observation. Insults are nothing more than words or gestures. They have no physical substance. He writes, "An insult is only damaging if you accept it as damaging. Otherwise, it is like a cloud passing by, seen for a moment, then gone." This echoes Epictetus' teaching, but Seneca adds a layer of psychological analysis. Why do we feel hurt? Because we interpret insults as an attack on our dignity. But if dignity comes from virtue rather than opinion, then an insult cannot truly touch us. The link between anger and insults. Seneca devoted an entire book, De Ira, on anger, to analyzing how insults lead to rage. He observed that people often take insults as personal injuries and allow them to ignite anger. But anger, he argued, is more destructive than the insult itself. An insult cannot harm you, but your anger can. It can harm your judgment, your relationships, and your peace of mind. This is a key Stoic insight. The insult itself is neutral. Our reaction, especially if it turns into anger, is what truly damages us. Why people insult. Seneca's analysis. Seneca asks us to consider the source of insults. Why do people disrespect others? He offers several explanations. 1. Ignorance, they do not know better. 2. Weakness, they insult because they lack power in other ways. 3. Habit, they were raised in an environment where mockery and harsh words were normal. 4. Projection, they reveal their own flaws by attacking others. By analyzing the cause, we depersonalize the insult. We stop seeing it as a reflection of our worth and begin seeing it as evidence of the other person's condition. Practical Stoic responses to insults. Seneca gives several practical responses. 1. Ignore insults. The highest form of strength, he says, is to treat insults as nothing. He who does not get angry at an insult shows that it is not true. 2. Laugh at insults. Instead of taking words seriously, we can disarm them with humor. This turns the insult back on itself, revealing its emptiness. 3. Agree with insults. If someone calls you foolish, Seneca suggests replying, "You do not know the half of it." This removes the insulter's power, because nothing disarms an insult faster than agreement. 4. Turn inward. If an insult stings, use it as a chance for self-examination. Ask, is there truth in this? If so, I will correct it. If not, why should it hurt me? The story of Seneca and Nero's disrespect. History tells us that Nero often mocked Seneca for his wealth. Seneca, despite being a Stoic, had accumulated great riches, and Nero would highlight this hypocrisy. Instead of responding with defensiveness, Seneca admitted the criticism was fair. He did possess wealth, but he was working to detach himself from its control. This is a powerful lesson. Disrespect can sometimes reveal a truth we must confront. Instead of resisting it, the Stoic uses it as an opportunity for growth. Modern applications of Seneca's wisdom. 1. Workplace insults. If a colleague calls you incompetent, consider, is there truth? If yes, improve. If not, let it go. Their words have no weight unless you carry them. 2. Public humiliation. If mocked in public, responding with humor or calm indifference disarms the attack. To lash out in anger only validates the mockery. 3. Online trolls. Seneca would likely laugh at online insults. A faceless comment is nothing more than words floating in the void. Why should it hold power? Practical exercise. The Insult Journal. Here's a Stoic practice inspired by Seneca. Each time you feel insulted, write it down. Then ask 3 questions. 1. Is this true? 2. If true, can I improve myself? 3. If false, why should I care? By reviewing insults this way, you turn them into tools for self-growth rather than wounds. Seneca's final word on insults. Perhaps Seneca's greatest insight is this: the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. When someone insults you, the temptation is to retaliate. But to retaliate is to become like them. The true Stoic victory is to remain calm, virtuous, and unmoved. The insulter lowers himself. The insulted rises above. Seneca's philosophy of insults is clear and practical. An insult is nothing unless you accept it. Anger does more harm than the insult itself. People insult out of ignorance, weakness, or habit. It is about them, not you. The best response is calm, humor, or indifference. Even when insults reveal a painful truth, they are gifts for self-examination. Living by this wisdom, we learn to see insults not as wounds, but as opportunities to strengthen our patience, refine our character, and live above the noise of disrespect. Why people disrespect: a Stoic analysis of human behavior. Understanding the source. One of the hardest parts of dealing with disrespect is not the insult itself, but the confusion it creates. Why would they say that? Why would they treat me this way? What did I do to deserve this? The Stoics teach us that peace comes not only from mastering our response, but also from understanding the motives behind disrespect. When we see clearly why people act as they do, our anger begins to dissolve into something else: patience, compassion, even pity. Seneca reminds us, no man does wrong willingly. In other words, people act out of ignorance, weakness, or pain, not out of true knowledge of the good. Let us explore the Stoic analysis of human behavior and why disrespect is such a common part of life. Ignorance. They know not what they do. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The wrongdoer does wrong to himself. He is ignorant of the truth, and so he harms himself more than he harms you." Many acts of disrespect are rooted in ignorance. The person does not understand virtue, wisdom, or self-control. They act out of habit, or because that is the only way they know to communicate. The person who mocks others may think humor requires cruelty. The person who interrupts may not even realize they are being dismissive. The person who lashes out with insults may never have been taught to handle frustration with reason. When we see disrespect through this lens, it becomes less personal. It is not so much about you as it is about their lack of understanding. Weakness. Disrespect as a cover for insecurity. Seneca observed that insults often come from weakness, not strength. The arrogant man disrespects others to mask his insecurity. The bully lashes out because he feels powerless elsewhere. The gossip spreads rumors because she envies what she lacks. Disrespect is often a projection. What they dislike in themselves, they try to throw onto you. Epictetus put it bluntly: when you are insulted, know that it is not the one who insults you who causes you harm, but your own belief about the insult. But we can go even further. The insulter harms themselves by revealing their weakness of character. Habit and culture. When disrespect is normalized. Not all disrespect comes from malice. Sometimes it comes from habit. People raised in harsh environments may see insults as ordinary speech. Families that communicate through criticism may pass that style on without thought. Cultures that glorify sarcasm may encourage disrespect as humor. The Stoics would urge us not to take such behavior personally. The person is acting from conditioning, not deliberate cruelty. As Marcus said, they do not know good from evil. Passion and emotion. disrespect in the heat of the moment. Another source of disrespect is ungoverned passion. Seneca, in On Anger, wrote, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." Many insults are spoken in anger, not in reason. A person overwhelmed by frustration may lash out with disrespectful words they do not even believe. Later, they may regret them, but the words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. The Stoic response is to remember, in that moment, they are not themselves. They are under the rule of passion, a temporary madness. To argue back is to argue with madness. Better to remain calm until the storm passes. Envy, the poison behind subtle disrespect. Envy is another common root of disrespect. Marcus Aurelius noted, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." But he also recognized that those who envy you will often show it through mockery, dismissal, or subtle disrespect. Envy cannot tolerate the success or virtue of others. The colleague who belittles your achievement may envy your progress. The friend who mocks your discipline may envy your self-control. The stranger who attacks you online may envy the attention you receive. Recognizing envy helps us detach. Their insult is not a reflection of our flaw, it is a reflection of their longing. Pain, disrespect as a cry for help. Finally, many acts of disrespect come from inner pain. A person suffering from stress, depression, or personal struggles may lash out at others not because they deserve it, but because pain needs an outlet. Marcus wrote with compassion, "Whenever you are offended at someone's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." In other words, when others disrespect us, it may help to remember times when we, too, disrespected others, not out of malice, but out of our own struggles. This breeds empathy, turning understanding into power. By analyzing the roots of disrespect, ignorance, weakness, habit, passion, envy, and pain, we transform our perspective. Instead of asking, "Why are they attacking me?" we begin asking, "What is happening in them that causes this behavior?" This shift moves us from victimhood to mastery. The insult no longer feels like a personal wound. It becomes evidence of their struggle. Practical Stoic reflection. Diagnosing disrespect. Here is a Stoic practice you can try. When disrespected, pause. Ask, which of these roots does this insult come from? Ignorance, weakness, habit, passion, envy, pain. Often, you will see it is one of these, not a reflection of your worth. This diagnosis turns disrespect into understanding, and understanding into strength. The Stoics teach us that people do not insult us out of wisdom, but out of ignorance, weakness, habit, passion, envy, or pain. Once we see this, disrespect loses its sting. It becomes not a personal attack, but a window into the insulter's soul. Instead of anger, we feel compassion. Instead of retaliation, we feel patience. Instead of weakness, we discover strength. Ego, control, and the Stoic armor against disrespect. Introduction. Why ego hurts more than words. Disrespect hurts not because of the words themselves, but because of what they awaken in our ego. When someone mocks us, our pride rises. When someone dismisses us, our vanity burns. When someone challenges us, our ego feels attacked. But the Stoics remind us, the problem is not the insult, but our attachment to reputation, image, and control. If we can master these, disrespect loses its sting. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." This simple line reveals a deep truth. The insult exists only if our ego accepts it. The nature of ego in Stoicism. In Stoic philosophy, ego is not just arrogance. Ego is the excessive attachment to how others perceive us. It is the false belief that our worth depends on external approval. Ego says, "I must be respected. Stoicism says, "I must be virtuous." This difference is crucial. Respect is external, virtue is internal. Respect can be taken away, but virtue cannot. Therefore, to tie our worth to respect is to place it in the hands of others, something no Stoic would accept. Control, the core Stoic principle. Epictetus taught that peace comes from distinguishing what is within our control from what is not. Within our control, our judgments, choices, actions. Beyond our control, the opinions, words, and behaviors of others. Disrespect belongs firmly in the second category. It is outside of our control. To be disturbed by it is to fight reality itself. Seneca reminds us, "He who is disturbed by an insult is complicit in it." In other words, when we let disrespect shake us, we give away our sovereignty. Why ego amplifies disrespect? Let us consider how ego transforms small slights into great wounds. 1. The look, someone rolls their eyes at you. Ego interprets it as, "They think I'm worthless." 2. The comment, a colleague says, "That wasn't very smart." Ego hears, "They are mocking my intelligence." 3. The silence, a friend does not acknowledge your effort. Ego cries, "They don't value me." The Stoics teach us to strip away this exaggeration. The look is just a look. The comment is just words. The silence is just absence. Only ego adds the painful story, building the Stoic armor. So, how do we defend ourselves? Not by silencing others, but by mastering ourselves. The Stoic armor has 3 parts. 1. Detachment from reputation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Fame after death is no better than oblivion." If even fame is meaningless, how much more meaningless are small insults? 2. Humility against ego. Seneca advises, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." This perspective humbles us. We are mortal, fragile, passing. Why should we demand that everyone bow to us with respect? 3. Control of judgment. Epictetus reminds us, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The insult has no power until you give it judgment. Practical Stoic exercises to tame ego. 1. Negative visualization of reputation. Imagine being mocked, insulted, or ignored. Feel the sting in your mind. Then remind yourself, "Even this cannot touch my virtue." By rehearsing insults mentally, you prepare for them in reality. 2. Voluntary humility. Practice small acts that lower your pride. Allow yourself to be corrected, admit ignorance, or let someone else have the last word. By humbling the ego, you weaken its power. 3. Journal on control. Each night, ask, "What disrespects did I face today? Were they within my control? How could I have responded with virtue instead of ego?" Case study, Marcus Aurelius and his enemies. As emperor, Marcus faced endless disrespect, senators who opposed him, generals who doubted him, even citizens who cursed him. Yet, he wrote in Meditations, "Say to yourself in the morning, 'Today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil.'" This premeditation of disrespect is a brilliant Stoic tool. Instead of being shocked or wounded, Marcus expected disrespect. By expecting it, he was never shaken by it. Modern applications of ego and control. 1. In the workplace. When a boss or colleague disrespects you, remember, their opinion is outside your control. What matters is your duty, not their judgment. 2. In relationships. If a partner disrespects you in anger, pause. Ask, "Is this my ego being hurt, or is there truth I can learn from?" 3. On social media. Online insults are amplified ego triggers. But remember, the faceless comment is just pixels on a screen. Your virtue remains untouched. The ultimate Stoic response to disrespect. The Stoic does not demand respect, nor fear disrespect. He knows both are beyond his control. The true Stoic response is to remain calm, to check the ego, to focus only on virtue. For as Marcus Aurelius said, if you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment about them. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now. Disrespect only wounds when it pierces the armor of ego. By learning to detach from reputation and control our judgments, we make ourselves invulnerable. The Stoic path is not about silencing others, but silencing the ego within us that craves approval and fears shame. With this armor, insults become meaningless, disrespect becomes powerless, and peace becomes possible. The Stoic Playbook: Strategies for Responding to Disrespect. From philosophy to action. Up to now, we have explored the roots of disrespect, the role of ego, and the Stoic mindset that shields us. But philosophy must always be practical. Stoicism is not meant for abstract thought alone. It is meant for life's battlefield. The question now is, how should we respond to disrespect when it happens? Do we ignore it? Do we speak up? Do we act firmly? The Stoics provide us with a spectrum of strategies, ranging from silence to action, depending on the situation. This chapter is your practical manual for dealing with insults, mockery, and disrespect while staying true to Stoic principles. Strategy 1. The power of silence. Sometimes the greatest response is no response at all. Epictetus advised, if someone speaks ill of you, defend yourself not with words but with silence. Silence denies the insulter what they crave: attention, reaction, power. Practical examples. When someone mocks you in a group setting, smile gently and say nothing. When a troll insults you online, resist the urge to reply. Silence is not weakness. It is strength in restraint. It communicates, you do not control me. Strategy 2. Reframing the insult. Another Stoic method is to reframe the insult, to reinterpret it in a way that removes its sting. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if someone despises me, that is their concern. My only concern is not to do or say anything deserving of contempt. Practical application. If called stupid, you might think, if I truly lack knowledge, I must learn. If not, their words are empty. If mocked for humility, remember, this proves I am free from vanity. By reframing, the insult becomes fuel for growth instead of pain. Strategy 3. Humor as a shield. Seneca praised those who could deflect insults with wit rather than anger. Example. When someone said to Socrates, "You are ugly," he replied, "That's true, but not as ugly as a donkey." Diogenes, when mocked for begging, said, "I beg to live, you beg to please." Humor transforms disrespect into a mirror. It disarms the aggressor without hostility. Practical application. When insulted, instead of frowning, smile and turn the remark into lightness. It shows you are unshaken. Strategy 4. Gentle correction. Sometimes, disrespect comes from ignorance, not malice. In these cases, gentle correction can be powerful. Epictetus said, "When someone behaves badly toward you, remember that he acts this way because he believes it right." Practical examples. If a colleague dismisses your idea rudely, calmly restate, "Let's explore this thought further before we dismiss it." If someone interrupts, say with kindness, "I'll finish quickly, then I'd love to hear your view." This shows firmness without aggression. Strategy 5. Firm boundary setting. There are times when silence or humor is not enough. Some disrespect demands clear boundaries. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Practical applications. To persistent mockery, I don't accept being spoken to this way. If it continues, I'll walk away. To workplace disrespect, let's keep this professional. We can disagree without insults. The Stoic does not retaliate, but neither does he allow endless abuse. Boundaries protect dignity without descending into hostility. Strategy 6. Ignoring reputation. Some insults are rooted in gossip or slander. The Stoic answer is to let reputation go. Seneca said, "What need is there to concern ourselves with what someone says behind our back? Let him say it, provided that what he says is not true." Practical mindset. If the gossip is true, improve yourself. If it is false, why care? Truth remains unshaken by lies. By detaching from reputation, you disarm slander's power. Strategy 7. The noble response. Sometimes the highest response to disrespect is unexpected kindness. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The best way of avenging yourself is not to become like the wrongdoer." Practical examples. When mocked, respond with a compliment. When disrespected, offer calm assistance. When ignored, treat them with dignity anyway. This is the Stoic form of victory, not lowering yourself, but rising above. Strategy 8. Walking away. Finally, the Stoics teach us that sometimes the wisest response is to simply remove ourselves. Epictetus said, "If you are ever tempted to look outside for approval, know that you have compromised your own integrity. Choose instead to walk away." Practical examples. Leave an argument that has become toxic. Distance yourself from people who thrive on disrespect. Step away from environments that poison your peace. Walking away is not surrender, it is self-respect. Choosing the right response. A Stoic decision tree. When disrespected, ask yourself, 1. Does this insult matter to my virtue? If no, silence or humor. If yes, gentle correction or firm boundary. 2. Is this person ignorant or malicious? Ignorant, educate kindly. Malicious, walk away or set boundaries. 3. Will responding improve the situation? If no, ignore and move on. If yes, respond calmly with reason. This decision-making process ensures that your response is deliberate, not reactive. Modern applications of the Stoic playbook. 1. At work. Boss mocks you, reframe silently, respond only if necessary. Colleague interrupts, gentle correction. Office gossip, ignore reputation. 2. In relationships. Partner disrespects in anger, pause, allow passion to cool, then address firmly but kindly. Friend mocks discipline, humor, or silence. 3. On social media. Online troll insults, silence. False rumor spreads, ignore if false, improve if true. The Stoic does not cling to a single reaction. He adapts wisely, choosing silence, humor, correction, boundaries, or kindness depending on the situation. The guiding principle is always the same. Never let disrespect drag you down. Respond with reason, not passion. Respond with virtue, not ego. Inner fortitude. Building resilience against disrespect. The fortress within. The Stoics often compared the soul to a fortress. No army, no insult, no mockery can breach it, unless we open the gates ourselves. Disrespect does not pierce us directly. It requires our consent. If we resist that consent, the words dissolve like air. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This chapter will focus on the inner practices, mental habits, emotional training, and psychological techniques that allow us to withstand disrespect like stone against the wind. 1. Training the mind, the Stoic mental gym. Just as the body grows strong with resistance training, the mind grows strong by facing insults in practice. The Stoics recommended premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. By rehearsing potential insults in your imagination, you train yourself to be unshaken when they arrive. Example practice. Each morning, remind yourself, today I may meet with rudeness, mockery, or scorn. It will not disturb me, for it comes from ignorance, not truth. This way, when disrespect occurs, you are not surprised. You are prepared. 2. The art of emotional detachment. One of the Stoic goals is apatheia, freedom from destructive emotions. This does not mean coldness, but calm mastery. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Disrespect often wounds us because we replay it in our minds, adding layers of pain. By detaching emotionally, we strip insults of their echo. Practical exercise. When insulted, pause. Observe your emotions as if they belong to someone else. Ask, is this anger useful? Does it align with my virtue? Breathe deeply until the heat cools. The insult may still exist, but it no longer commands your heart. 3. The role of ego in vulnerability. Ego is the crack in the fortress wall. If we crave recognition, every slight feels like robbery. If we cling to pride, every insult feels like an attack. Epictetus reminds us, if someone handed your body to a stranger, you would be outraged. Yet you hand over your mind to anyone who insults you. Practical reflection. Write down moments when disrespect hurt you. Ask, was this pain caused by the words themselves or by my wounded ego? Gradually, learn to reduce ego's grip by caring more for virtue than for reputation. 4. Developing the indifference muscle. Indifference, Stoic adiaphora, does not mean apathy. It means recognizing what truly matters and what does not. Practical training. Rate insults on a scale. Does this affect my health? Does this harm my integrity? Does this change my ability to live with virtue? You will find that most disrespectful remarks rank near 0. By practicing indifference, you free yourself from being controlled by trivialities. 5. Journaling as a shield. Marcus Aurelius' Meditations was essentially a journal, a private dialogue with himself, training his mind against offense. Practical exercise. Each evening, write down any disrespect you faced. Record your initial reaction. Then reframe it through a Stoic lens. Did this truly harm me? What virtue can I practice in response? Over time, journaling transforms disrespect into wisdom. 6. Perspective through time. Many insults lose all power when placed against the vast backdrop of time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Consider how swiftly all things are swept away, our lives, our actions, our words. What is today's insult but dust tomorrow?" Practical visualization. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. Will this disrespect matter? Imagine yourself on your deathbed. Will you even remember it? By stretching your timeline, you shrink the insult. 7. Resilience through discipline. A disciplined life breeds resilience. The Stoics lived with hardship voluntarily. Cold baths, simple meals, minimal possessions, not because they hated comfort, but to train against dependency. Epictetus said, "Difficulties show a man to himself." Practical applications. Practice occasional discomfort, fasting, walking in silence, turning off your phone. When insulted, remind yourself, I have endured worse in training. This is nothing. Resilience grows not in theory, but in daily practice. 8. Cultivating compassion for the insulter. Strangely, compassion is one of the strongest shields against disrespect. Marcus Aurelius observed, "When you wake in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil." Seeing disrespect as weakness, not malice, replaces anger with pity. Practical reflection. When insulted, say, "This person suffers from ignorance. Should I be angry at the sick?" By choosing compassion, you rob the insult of poison. 9. The Stoic visualization of control. Imagine disrespect as a stone thrown at a fortress wall. If the wall is strong, the stone falls harmlessly. If the wall is cracked, it shatters. Your mind is that wall. Through training, detachment, discipline, and compassion, you thicken its walls until no insult can penetrate. 10. The unshakable soul. The ultimate goal is not merely to endure disrespect, but to become immune to it, to reach a state where it passes through you like wind through trees. Seneca wrote, "No man can be insulted without his consent." This is the pinnacle of Stoic strength, not in conquering others, but in conquering oneself. Disrespect is not defeated externally, it is defeated internally. By training the mind, mastering emotions, weakening ego, practicing indifference, journaling, stretching perspective, living with discipline, and cultivating compassion, you construct the fortress within. When the fortress is complete, disrespect is no longer an enemy. It is a teacher, an opportunity to test the strength you have built, turning disrespect into strength. Introduction. From wound to weapon. Disrespect is usually seen as an attack, a wound, a humiliation. But the Stoics invite us to view it differently, as a forge. Just as fire consumes whatever is thrown into it and rises higher, the Stoic consumes insults and grows stronger. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is the alchemy of Stoicism, turning disrespect into strength. 1. Reframing the insult. Every insult contains two elements: the words themselves, the meaning you assign to them. The Stoic chooses to reframe. Example. When called weak, the Stoic thinks, "This is a chance to prove my endurance." When mocked for simplicity, the Stoic replies inwardly, "I am closer to virtue, free of vanity." When ignored, the Stoic says, "I need no witness but my conscience." By reframing, disrespect is stripped of poison and turned into nourishment. 2. Using disrespect as a mirror. Not all disrespect is baseless. Sometimes insults reveal truths we ignore. Seneca wrote, "No one has been ridiculed without cause. If many call you mad, perhaps you should examine yourself." Instead of reacting with anger, the Stoic asks, "Is there truth hidden in this insult? What can I learn about myself from this disrespect?" Thus, the insult becomes a mirror for self-examination. 3. Training through opposition. The Stoics believed that adversity trains the soul. Insults, mockery, disrespect, these are the weights in the gym of character. Epictetus compared life to a wrestling school. So when the contest comes, remember that it was for this you have been training. Each insult is a sparring partner, strengthening your patience, humility, and clarity. The Stoic thinks, without opponents, how would I grow strong? 4. Fueling motivation from disrespect. History is full of individuals who turned disrespect into greatness. Socrates was mocked for his appearance and poverty, yet he became one of history's greatest minds. Marcus Aurelius was doubted as weak and unfit, yet he ruled as a philosopher king. Epictetus was born a slave, ridiculed for his crippled leg, yet became a teacher of emperors. Disrespect became the fire that proved their strength. In modern times, countless leaders, athletes, and artists have used ridicule as motivation to work harder, to rise higher, to prove that disrespect cannot define them. 5. Practicing transformative responses. Practical exercises to turn disrespect into strength. 1. The gratitude shift. When insulted, silently say, *, "Thank you for this training." This reframes the moment from injury to opportunity. 2. The silent ledger. Keep a private notebook. For every insult, write the words said, the emotion felt, the lesson learned. Over time, insults become your greatest teachers. 3. The challenge game. Each morning, challenge yourself. Today I will welcome one insult without anger. Treat disrespect as a test to be passed. 6. The example of Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius, though emperor, was constantly disrespected, betrayed by friends, undermined by generals, mocked by those who saw philosophy as weakness. But instead of rage, he turned disrespect into fuel for patience and humility. He reminded himself daily, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Every insult became a lesson in self-restraint. 7. The example of Epictetus. As a slave, Epictetus endured constant disrespect, not just insults, but beatings. His master once twisted his leg until it broke. Epictetus calmly said, "If you continue, you will break it." When the bone snapped, he added, "I told you so." This story is not about coldness, but about mastery. Epictetus transformed cruelty into proof of his indomitable spirit. His broken leg became a symbol of strength, not shame. 8. Disrespect as a path to true freedom. Paradoxically, disrespect is what liberates the Stoic. If you can withstand mockery without losing peace, you are free from others' opinions. If you can take an insult as a teacher, you are free from pride. If you can turn scorn into strength, you are free from weakness. Thus, disrespect is not an obstacle but a gateway to inner freedom. 9. The fire metaphor. The Stoics often used the metaphor of fire. Throw dung, wood, or ash into a fire. It consumes it and grows. Similarly, the Stoic consumes disrespect and grows in resilience. Marcus Aurelius. The blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. Disrespect is fuel, not poison, when received by a Stoic heart. 10. The Stoic practice of amor fati. Amor fati, love of fate, is the acceptance of everything, including disrespect, as necessary and good. The Stoic does not merely tolerate insult, he embraces it as part of the path. When insulted, the Stoic thinks, "This was meant for me. It shapes me into who I must become. I do not merely endure fate, I love it." This is the highest transformation, to see disrespect not as an enemy, not even as fuel, but as a friend that polishes the soul. Disrespect is not an obstacle, it is an ally. It reveals truth. It strengthens patience. It motivates greatness. It frees us from ego. It teaches us amor fati. The Stoic transforms disrespect into wisdom, just as fire transforms wood into flame. When we learn to do this, we stop fearing insult. We welcome it, knowing that it cannot weaken us, it can only make us stronger. The Stoic blueprint for dealing with disrespect. Introduction. From struggle to mastery. We have journeyed through the Stoic understanding of disrespect, what it is, why it wounds, and how it can be transformed. Now, in this final chapter, we gather every lesson into a blueprint, a step-by-step guide to face disrespect with calm, strength, and wisdom. This is not merely philosophy to admire. It is training for life. 1. The Stoic foundation. Control what you can. Disrespect belongs to the realm of externals. Your response belongs to the realm of internals. The first step is always the same. Ask, is this under my control? If no, release it. If yes, shape your response with virtue. This simple separation is the shield that guards against unnecessary suffering. 2. Step 1. Pause before reaction. The natural impulse is to strike back. The Stoic discipline begins with the pause. Practical mantra. I control my tongue. I control my mind. Let me not be mastered by impulse. Even a few seconds of silence prevents regret and opens space for wisdom. 3. Step 2. Reframe the insult. Ask yourself, does this insult truly define me? Does it touch my integrity or only my pride? If it is empty, dismiss it. If it carries truth, use it for growth. Either way, it serves you. 4. Step 3. Practice indifference. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he would meet the arrogant, the rude, and the ungrateful. When disrespect appears, say to yourself, "This is the nature of people. Why be surprised?" Indifference is not weakness, it is mastery of perspective. 5. Step 4. Respond with virtue. The Stoic asks, what does virtue demand here? If silence is best, remain silent. If correction is kind, speak calmly. If forgiveness is noble, offer it. The insult is external. Your virtue is eternal. 6. Step 5. Use disrespect as training. Treat each insult as an exercise in patience. Each slight is a sparring partner in your gym of character. Remind yourself, if I cannot endure this, how will I endure greater trials? This mindset turns daily frustrations into steady growth. 7. Step 6. Journal and reflect. Every evening, record the moments when disrespect touched you. Then reframe them through Stoic eyes. What did I feel? What did I control? What could I do better tomorrow? This habit transforms disrespect into wisdom over time. 8. Step 7. Broaden the perspective. Stretch the timeline. Will this insult matter in a year? On your deathbed? In the flow of eternity? If not, why carry it now? Perspective shrinks the sting of insult until it vanishes like smoke. 9. Step 8. Embrace amor fati. At the highest level, you do not just endure disrespect, you love it. You say, this too is part of fate. This too shapes me. By embracing disrespect as a teacher, you become unshakable. 10. The Stoic life, a fortress of calm. Imagine living as a Stoic fortress. Insults arrive, but cannot harm. Mockery echoes, but cannot pierce. Disrespect appears, but becomes your training ground. This is not fantasy, it is discipline. It is practice. It is the way of the Stoic. Final words, your choice in every moment. Disrespect will never disappear. The world is full of arrogance, ignorance, and cruelty. But your freedom lies here. You choose your response. You can be broken by insult, or you can be made stronger by it. The Stoic chooses strength. The Stoic chooses virtue. The Stoic chooses peace. If this teaching has strengthened you, if Stoicism speaks to your soul, then I invite you. Subscribe to this channel for more Stoic wisdom, practical philosophy, and guidance on living unshaken in a noisy world. Join this community of modern Stoics. Let us walk the path together, turning every trial into strength and every disrespect into wisdom.